Hello, hopefully you're having a great day today. So, with all of these videos, I hope you're enjoying the content. Like we talked about, our goal is to make sure that we make this easier for you to maintain your weight and keep connected to the group and always have something to go to. And the one thing that I had a client ask me recently was like, what is the secret to why people can keep their weight off? And that's what I want to go over with this video. There is nothing, it's not a secret, it's just getting back to the basics. And if you miss the basics, that's where we're going to see people have problems. And really, what I really want you to focus on is the positive side of that. This doesn't have to be something really complicated and over the top crazy approach to what you have to do. It's the basics that matter. And those basics are what's going to allow you to maintain your weight and ideally feel healthier as you age. So, what I want to do in this video is go over and talk about the basics, make sure we're hitting those. What we want to do is we want to create long term habits. And in order to do that, you have to work at it. Obviously, I think we all know that. But just like when you went through our program, the first 1 to 2 weeks, it's tougher. It's a new program. You're acclimating to it. Your brain, you're negotiating with yourself too. Should I follow this? Should I cheat? You're going through all that. You get through the next couple of weeks, it's a lot easier. You're getting used to it. It's becoming a habit. By the time you get close to the end, it's usually pretty easy for people because they've been doing it for almost 6 to 8 weeks. And with most of these habits, you have to build them in long term with maintenance, usually around 3 to 6 months. And if you can do that, then long term you're going to do really, really well because those habits that are kind of new and that you're working on, those just become your habits. Just like getting up and getting dressed and brushing your teeth, all those things that you know that you just do in each day. Once you build these habits in long term, it's just going to become that's what you do. And that's where it becomes very easy to maintain your weight because you have a plan. You know what you're going to do. You have the amount of fun food you're going to add into the maintenance plan too. And that's what I want to go back to. So make sure when you're doing this, the only way you can find if you're having a problem is by weighing yourself. It's really hard to just go around and just look in the mirror and hope you don't have a problem. Most of us could gain 5 or 10 pounds, and you probably wouldn't even be able to tell a big difference in the mirror. Once somebody puts on 20 or 30 or 40, you can definitely tell. But the weight scale is so important because it's your guide. It's just like having the numbers in a bank account or a speedometer. Or if you get into an airplane, I'm sure you feel a lot more comfortable knowing the pilot has all of the different digital gauges and speedometer and elevation and where they're going versus just kind of guessing and saying, I think we're going in the right direction. So that's the first thing is we have to make sure that we're weighing ourselves. That is telling you how you are doing. So if you're seeing that scale just stay nice and level, you're doing a great job. Hopefully, you're also feeling well and you're feeling full and satiated. And then also you get to add some of that fun food in on the side too, like we talked about. If you're seeing your weight is starting to slowly creep up and it's not coming down, we have a problem. And that's what we need to focus on. So we have to get back to the basics. Basics number one is always make sure you weigh yourself at least once a week, ideally twice, like we talked about, after the weekend and right before the weekend. Then you can see kind of the damage that you do. And you can make sure that by the time you get through the weekend and then you get a weekday, you can get it back off. If you can't, then you're going to see that scale slowly creep up. Okay. So that's goal number one. The second goal, if you're seeing that weight slowly creeping up, it's a very simple fix. You are eating too many calories. All right. Your body will burn about this much. And that's just what your body needs to function, all its metabolic processes and just what it does, plus all of your activity added on top of it. So your baseline is there. That's what you burn in a day from moving around and doing everything. If you're gaining weight and it's a consistent weight gain, it's not just from a weekend or some water weight gain, you're eating too much. And over time, your body is storing that many calories. Or if you're doing, poorly, it's way up here. And you're going to see that scale slowly start to go up. And that's what we don't want to happen. Okay. And in my experience, what I've noticed for a lot of people, and they've done research on this too, is when people stop weighing themselves, they also stop weighing their food. And that's important because in studies, they found that people underestimate how many calories they eat by up to 50%. So they would take clients or whatever subjects in the research study, and they would say, how many calories are you eating in a day? And they would track everything the person ate, but the person wouldn't measure. They wouldn't know. They would just guess. And the client usually was 50% under what they were actually burning. So if the person said, I'm burning 2,000 calories in a day, they were actually consuming about 3,000. And these are done on a lot of studies. So that's a big issue is you have to make sure that if you're gaining weight, you're eating too much. All right. So there's the portion sizes. It's getting back to knowing what you're doing. having too much off-plan foods. A couple other pitfalls we've seen is when you do that, one of the another research study or one of the things they found too is they underestimate the amount of like oils, butter, salad dressing, and nuts and seeds that clients have. Okay, so if you think about it, like a teaspoon is roughly, I have a note here, 100 or tablespoon, 120 calories a tablespoon for olive oil. So if you're not measuring that out in an actual tablespoon and you're just dumping it in a pan to cook, or you're dumping it on a salad, the reality is you're probably using, 2 to 3 times more because that liquid is so small. It also isn't filling, so it's kind of like it's like a ghost calories. You don't really think about it because it's not like a big piece of protein in front of you. It's just a liquid. So that's one thing where we see with a lot of people. If you're not measuring out your nuts or seeds, almonds, cashews, all that stuff, or you're using too much like peanut butter, almond butter, olive oil, even though these are healthier for you, they still contain higher calorie amounts. So that's why with a lot of these basics we want to get back to, usually the two things I want you to focus on is looking at your weight. Make sure you're doing that. Have your scale somewhere in your bathroom so that it's routine. Either it's right by where you brush your teeth, it's right by the restroom. So you know that, hey, I'm going to do this and I'm going to hop on. And like we've talked about, you understand it's just a tool. If it goes up for a day or two, don't beat yourself up. It's not that big of a deal. What we're using it for is just to make sure we understand we're on the right track or if we're not. Okay. And then if you are seeing that scale go up, start looking at the portion sizes that you're having, especially in the calorie dense food. So you're usually not going to overeat and gain weight because you're eating protein, fruits, and the vegetables. Okay. It's usually going to be nuts, seeds, higher fat foods, and then a lot of your processed foods. Those things we talked about in the last couple of videos, you can just eat food and eat food and eat food and it doesn't fill you up, but the calories just keep going up. So that's what I want you to focus on this week. Go back to the basics. The basics are super important. Build those habits in, and then it's really hard to let yourself slip and get out of control if you just follow these. And the first one, we have to weigh ourselves. So hopefully you have a great day. Talk to you soon.